So I wanted to give you an update on the progress of the new chapel at Camp Chickahawk. So this is the day before they came. I went up to the builder's place and took a couple of pictures as they were unloading or taking the building apart and then putting it on the tractor trailer. The next morning, the tractor trailer showed up, a boom truck, and they started unloading the all of the logs to start building the building. And they what they ended up finding out was when they went to start laying all the logs later on, the boom truck was too small to reach. The boom was too small to reach the far side of the building. So they ended up just unloading everything, laying it in a place where they could have easy access to it, and then they had to so they just located the logs are all over the place around. I decided that taking pictures of it was going to make this thing too long, so I decided I would do a time lapse photo and recording of it, and so it was pretty funny when you now look at it as to how fast it goes. But this total thing, like if you watch the whole thing, this is actually 6 days of them putting the building up, putting pieces together, all the pieces, and so on this first day they had unloaded this tractor trailer load. They had another smaller trailer that they had a few logs on, which were the ones that they needed to actually get the building started, because they couldn't get them all on the tractor trailer. So they brought them on this trailer, and that's when they determined that the boom truck would not reach the distance that they needed to. So they brought a boom truck from their own facility. Because it was large enough to reach all the way. So the next morning they got started laying out the all the logs in the places that they needed to go, and it was fun to sit there and watch. I said to my son, he said, what are you doing this week, Dad? And I said, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to watch this building go together. And I thought, a couple of days, but it was a big job to get all these logs together. And like they had to locate each log with the number, because each log's numbered, and the location, north, south, east, west, whatever wall it's going on, and stuff. So they did quite a bit of work getting the first all this logs down, the first row of logs down, because they had to make sure it was in exactly the place where they needed to be, and stuff. And then they drilled the holes through the logs into the basement for all the electrical and stuff. They did those, brought the a little wire up through each one, so that when the building was all done, the electricians would be able to just pull up the wires up through those, and through those holes, and into the electrical box locations where they were designed to be, and those are actually all cut into the logs. You can see them here as they're putting them down. They're pulling those wires up into the next log. So that's would have been all done back at their original, their own building site where they built the building. It was like watching a constructs or something like that I played with as a kid, as the toys. Anyway, I had to move to a different location, because they where I had started my filming, they put up the first walls that they put up was the ones closest to me. So then I couldn't see what they were doing on the walls behind. So I had to switch over to the opposite end, and so you can see the kids coming and going and playing. We put the fence around so that it would isolate the construction site from camp, because the camp was still going on, and so they just kept putting it together, each log at a time. You could see it coming together, and how awesome it looked and stuff from each day as they uh, as they worked on it. Anyway, they had to keep because they ended up moving, unloading the logs off of the truck that first day. Normally they would just take them right off the truck and put them in place, but because the boom truck wasn't big enough, and they had to put the logs there and stuff. They ended up having to move the boom truck, and swing the logs, put them back over inside the building and stuff like that, so they could get access to it, and to put it together. So it made a longer time for them to spend putting it all together, just because of the extra moves with the logs and stuff. But it was pretty amazing to. They look like a bunch of little ants running around when you watch it on this time lapse thing, because but there's I guess all the space in between that you don't get to see it. Just you see them just flying around. So now they're actually up to the top level. I guess they're putting the top course on, which ties all of the building together, all those short walls and stuff like that. It ties them all together, and makes it stable. So now they were swinging some more logs in place into the center, so they could get access to complete it all. So it was pretty awesome to sit there. I just got my water bottle and some snacks, and I set up on the deck near by cabin 12. Put my phone on on the tripod, with a cell phone holder mounted on the top of it, and pushed record on the time lapse, and then I just sat there and watched it, and the phone recorded all that I was seeing, and then I just kind of put it all together here in iMovies. And so this was one of the big trusses they put together, that's going to go up and set up in place. This was the veranda, I guess, the porch out over the front, and has an entryway there covered, and the opening is there'll be a double set of double doors, and then a window on each side of that, so it makes a pretty big opening. So they're actually working on the trusses that are going to go up here, and you'll see it here in a couple of minutes when they put the big truss up. It was quite a lift for the forklift to grab a hold of that big truss after they got it all together, and pull it up into place. It was quite a lift. Anyway, it's quite something to see it all come together, and start looking like a building. But it's beautiful. The logs are big, and how they all fit together. Like it's just amazing to see how they cut the bottoms of the logs, and to fit onto the top of the one below it, and have insulation and stuff that goes in there to make an air seal, and so they're putting up all these trusses and stuff, and then they had to brace those, of course, to keep them from. But I was really surprised as how stable they were, even without bracing on them. And when the cuts that they made to put those together, they were so perfect. The cuts, and how they made them just with a power saw. Then they grind them, clean them up, shape them, and when that truss sat down on that, it fit. It was like they didn't even need to brace it, but of course they couldn't just let it sit there without being braced and stuff in case of heavy windstorm or something like that came up. But I mean, they tried to they had a job to move that just a little tiny bit to get it perfectly, standing up, perfectly straight and level. And they worked at that quite a bit to get it to get them to, just to move just a little tiny bit, because they were so perfectly fit. It was they're amazing people, and the work they do is just like it's quite something. Anyway, there's another load of logs just pulled in for the. I guess these ones were. They're getting ready to put the purlins on. I think maybe at this point, or the ridge thing, and the purlins will go on next. So you'll see here in a couple of minutes they'll start working on those and putting them up. So they're just doing finishing touches with bracing and stuff like that, so that the end walls or anything doesn't move. And then here they are now starting to put the purlins up, which basically what they are is big logs that will go and that the roof structure sets on. They're already they make them fitted, and they're slanted on the side, so that when we put we're going to put eye joists on top of those to make the give the roof the place where we can put the plywood on, and then insulation underneath, and then strap it, and then put the finished stuff on the inside. So there's two of these sets of purlins that go on up the roof, and then the big ridge pole that goes all the way down the middle. The purlins that's on the left hand side, or over towards the power lines there, it has a notch in it because there's another gable end that's going to be going in there that they going to put up once they get this main structure done and stuff. So there's Jonathan. He's helping this day, them getting the purlins up, and he's not scared of heights at all. He was going right up on top of them things. I'm thinking, oh no, that's not the place I would want to be. Anyway, they put up a platform there so that they could tie everything together and have it so you could walk across it and stuff to get from one to the other. This is the gable end post that's going up. So once the building's done, you'll see later on in the pictures that these are the gable end is now built in, all finished, and it'll have. I'm not sure exactly what they're putting on that. I haven't been told that yet. Anyway, so they're working away at the purlins here, putting them up. Just sometimes it seems like a bit of a slow process, but it in reality, like I said earlier on, this was probably day 5 here when they're putting up this purlins, and climbing right up those the trusses to mount these things on. It's pretty amazing. Not a place I would want to be, but the guys don't seem to mind it. They're driving the big pins in. They use I guess it's about a 1/2 inch or maybe 5/8 rebar pins. They drill through the log first, and then they drive that right into into the truss because they use the blunt end going into it so it won't split the log. It just kind of tears its way in, and it makes it so that it won't come out because if there is any movement, there's where they drill through the purlin. They drill the purlin, and then they drive it into the truss. So anyway, they had a couple of little oil leaks in the old boom truck, so they had to move the tarp that they had down just to make sure that they didn't leave oil spills all around around the building and stuff. So now they're working on the other end, getting up the center poles there, or the poles for the purlins, and bracing those. And you can see the purlins getting set on. This is the last purlin to go on. They're putting it on on this side, and then they put the center pole in, brace that, put their platform up, and brace that, tie it all together. And now they're putting the ridge beams in. It pretty pretty big stuff when you look at it. Those logs came. I guess the ones for maybe the purlins and the trusses were Douglas fir from out in BC. They use those because of the strength, the extra strength in the wood. Anyway, this is kind of pretty well the completion of this part of it. Then we all went away for a I guess they're putting the ridge one on for the going out over the canopy. They're doing some final cuts and stuff, I guess, on that to and then that's the ridge pole, or the ridge pole over the canopy. Then we spent a couple of days and put the the rafters on that. Then they came back and put the veranda railings and all that up. When we were actually away on vacation, and then this is what we got done by the end of today. So that's the update.